Kiwi FM.
Chicks. Vote at kiwifm.co.nz.
Kiwi.
102.2 Auckland.
The Radio Wemo Breakfast.
Joining us now, Dylan Storey, back for 2011 to stare into the night sky with us this morning. Hello to you, Dylan.
Hello, Wemo. Hello, listeners.
Of course, thanks very much to the Stardome Observatory. Kicking off the year with a bit of controversy. I'm not sure why we're talking astrology, because I'm pretty sure astronomers are the other end of the spectrum to that and try to shy away from astrology-type matters. But a lot of people are waking up in 2011 to the fact that they aren't who they thought they were. Can you explain, Dylan?
Yes, well, I think you're right. Astrology and astronomy are at the ends of the spectrum, even though a lot of people get them confused, it seems. But being astronomy inclined myself, I never like to miss out on an opportunity to get a bit of a dig in at the astrologers. And so somehow it's come about that the star signs that people thought they were are not the star signs that they actually are. Now, in fact, it's about a whole constellation out of whack. So I'm supposed to be in Aquarius. Turns out the sun was actually in Capricorn when I was born. Now, I've known this for a long time, of course, and anyone who's been into astronomy at all has known this. I remember when I first started getting into astronomy, I was flatting with someone who was a Scorpio, and they were going on about Scorpio this, and I'm so Scorpio. And then I had my telescope out, or just out there looking at the stars, and it was my flatmate's birthday, and I could see Scorpio high in the sky. I thought, this is strange. How can she be a Scorpio and I can see Scorpio? The sun's supposed to be in Scorpio. And so I did some research, and I found out that astrology is actually 2,500 years out of whack.
So, these are facts that people have known for a long time. Why is this in the news now? Why is this happening?
It seems to have come into the news because some reporter in America published it in a paper, and a whole lot of people latched onto it and said, "Oh, that can't be right." And then I was just reading some survey of some huge percentage of Americans believe astrology to be true. So it's sort of just come into the media's attention.
Yeah.
But it seems that it's not just a bit out of whack, it's 2,500 years out of whack, and the astrologers don't seem to have noticed.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they have noticed, right? But they, I guess, what are they doing? Are they just still pinning the same traits on particular star signs, or do you think that the astrologers who take their craft really seriously are altering the traits to fit what actually was in the sky at the time of birth now? I mean, I don't know. I'm not that deep into astrology.
I know serious astrologers, they calculate where the moon is when you were born, where the moon is a certain time, and what the ascendant is. And they calculate those correctly off modern star charts. So I don't know if they take into account the difference. But I know they sort of associate features like, say, Taurus, people who are Taurus are supposed to be bull-like.
Yeah.
Because Taurus looks like a bull. Well, it turns out that you're not actually Taurus. You'd be an Aries if you were born at that time. So that kind of throws the bull theory out the window, at least. Can
you briefly explain why things have gone out of whack over that 2,500 years?
Yeah, it's an effect called precession. So the stars themselves haven't moved. The configurations haven't moved. The stars are, even though they are flying through space at extremely fast rates, they're so far away that their relative position to us is not going to change for tens of thousands or millions of years. But the effect is because the Earth's axis, it's tilted over. So let's say we call it the node, the point where it's most tilted, otherwise called a solstice. That'll be at the same place every year, right? That's why we get the longest day every year at the same time. But over thousands of years, that does actually move.
Right.
So it does so that the node will move around the circle in a cycle that lasts about 23,000 years. So 2,500 years, we've gone sort of almost a twelfth of the way round since astrology was invented.
Okay.
So that means that the node or the equinoxes or the solstices have moved an entire constellation since then due to that sort of wobbling of the axis of the Earth.
Do you think, is it going to make astrologers, is there going to be a revolution, astrology revolution? Are they going to revise the charts? Are they going to revise the star signs? What's going to happen here, do you think?
Well, I don't know. Astrologers are notorious for overlooking these things or writing them out of the theory. I don't know what they'll do. I mean, as I say, 2,500 years. They've had 2,500 years to revise it.
So, what were they? Who laid them down? Was it the Greeks?
I believe it was either the Greeks or the Babylonians. They sort of had a lot to do with the stars and figuring out the patterns in the stars.
Yeah.
Surely it's pretty arbitrary anyway. There's only one constellation that really sort of looks like its thing that it's said to be look like. That's Scorpius. It does sort of look like a scorpion in the sky.
Yeah.
But it could easily also be in the Pacific here. It's a fish hook. It's said to be a fish hook. So you can interpret the patterns of the stars in lots of different ways.
Well, it's funny though, the whole astrology thing. Most people will say, "Oh, yeah, no, I don't believe in that," but yet they'll still go and read the daily paper, written by the mailman inside the news department.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of fun, isn't it? Kind of having a sort of look into what your day might hold, what your future might hold. But I did hear some story about some astrology writer or editor who would arbitrarily swap them round.
Yeah.
And see what happened, and
nothing happened.
Or nothing happened.
Yeah.
Or I once saw a clip of the mentalist guy Darren Brown who would write people these extensive horoscopes for all these different people of different star signs, and they'd all sit round in a room together, having not seen each other's, and say, "Oh, that's amazing! How could it be so accurate? That's just incredible!" And then they'd share them and realise that they were all exactly the same.
There you go. Yeah, you read things and then you go, "Oh, how does that fit in with me?" And then you start thinking, "Oh, it does."
Yeah, I am a bit like that.
Yeah.
I am a bit impatient.
I'm so neurotic.
If there was something in it, surely it's just arbitrary anyway.
Yeah.
Surely it's more linked to the time of day, the time of year that you're born, or. So what's going on in the night sky?
Yeah, well, no, I was going to ask, what should we look out for at the Stardome Observatory?
This month there is a show called Black Holes playing at 7 p.m. There's the Sky Tonight show, which has been a big success recently with the clear skies, and everyone's been going outside after that. That's at 8 o'clock, so if you go to the show, you go outside at about 9:15, and it's just dark enough to look through telescopes. Jupiter's looking spectacular at the moment. You can see the cloud bands, you can see the moons around it, and there's all sorts of things in the sky like the Orion Nebula to see. If anyone goes on a Thursday, Friday or Saturday, they've also got the big Zeiss telescope open. So that's the big meter dish that and you can really see some awesome stuff, and you get an experienced astronomer taking you on a tour of the sky using that.
Cool. Sounds very good.
Weekends they're doing something else. They're doing a Pink Floyd music show.
Oh yeah.
Where they play a Pink Floyd album. This month it is The Wall. Next month I believe it's Dark Side of the Moon, to all sorts of visual effects up on the planetarium screen.
You astronomers, such geeks.
Yeah, any excuse to get out the Pink Floyd, eh?
All right, thanks very much, Dylan. Go along to the Stardome Observatory and check all that stuff out. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Ramo.